Hello again, everyone. We are Gaming by Gaslight, and welcome back to another dev blog on our continuing game development adventure thing that we're doing. So when we last left off, which I guess was the first time around, we had just kind of outlined what it was we were attempting to do, which is, of course, a stealth game. And yeah, let's see where I've managed to get with things since we last left off. So, nothing too exciting and new over there. Let's talk about enemy AI and their ability to see and do things, first of all. So to start off with, we've got our kind of vision test here. And you also notice, honestly, I don't know why I put these lights in here. They're set to go off when anything gets spotted, and they just stay on forever. But I just wanted a little visual thing, I guess, when we get spotted. Anyway. So here is our enemy vision, and we've got this little debug thing down there in the comments so we can see who has been spotted and by what. You also notice we're using the Adam character from the Adam short film series thing that Unity did a while back. Just because I wanted a nice, interesting looking character. And what exactly is going on here? Well, we've got this yellow circle here. That kind of represents the enemy vision. This little green line represents whether we're actually seen or not. As we can see, it kind of goes red when we're out of sight. This black line just represents the forward-facing position, and these little lines here, the cyan line represents the peripheral vision, blue line represents like the actual, I guess, his direct line of sight, I suppose. To be honest, I think this is not a great way of doing things. I should probably have some kind of mathematical calculation in here where, like, depending on how close we are to this this black forward-facing line relative to this cyan line, we get like an increasing value and then an increasing value as well based on how close we are to the actual enemy versus his, like, the max range of his sight. So for here, then we'd get like a stronger vision value or something, however you want to describe that. And then, of course, that value would be affected by things like lighting and how weather affects, I don't know, fog, mist, rain, etc. That way we could have, I guess, a bit of a more dynamic system where, depending on the environment, the enemy can see us better or worse. And that actually seems to be flickering a little bit, which is, you'll notice right away probably that there's a bit of an issue here, since this ray representing the sight is pointing at our feet rather than, and it's just one ray. We'll talk about that in a moment. But also, I guess another thing worth showing off is, yeah, this guy's got a different vision range, so if we're out here, he can't see us, but if we move in closer, he can. And that's kind of the extent of that. Let's actually look at the vision cone here. So first of all, we've got its various vision attributes. We've got a target, which is Adam in this case. I could probably make this better by maybe making that an array, and then it checks for various targets, because we might have an enemy that looks at different targets. We might even want a system where, depending on what the target is, the enemy does different things. Like if they see a friendly, then they'll do one thing, and if they see a hostile, they'll do something else, and if they see someone who's neutral, then they'll do a third thing. But at this particular point, that doesn't feel, that's like nice extra features, but not terribly relevant right now. So we've got that. We of course got our vision range, our peripheral range, our actual vision range, and so on and so forth. Well, actually, yeah, this max peripheral radius doesn't really do anything right now, as you can see. And again, if I rework how this system works so that we actually have some kind of mathematical calculation of how well the enemy can see us versus just this simple, hey, does he see us or does he not see us, then yeah, that'll get changed. But I just wanted something simple to start with, and that's kind of where we are. We've also, of course, got our mask here because there's some layers we might not want to see. For instance, maybe we could make another layer and apply it to these walls, and they could be, I don't know, thin walls, or walls that can be seen through by enemies who have X-ray vision or something, and then enemies who have special goggles on can see through walls or whatnot, or some kind of infrared thing. I don't know. just something to play around with here that we can work on in the future. And let's actually do a quick look at what the vision script is actually doing. So it sort of works with this sort of free layered check. First of all, we use a collider, which just checks if we're actually in that kind of yellow circle we saw earlier. And if we are in here, well, first of all, if we actually have hit something, my comments are not necessarily the best, so don't necessarily pay attention to them. If we're within that collider range, or if there is actually a detected collision of being in that range, we then see if we're in the viewing range, the field of view. And if yes, then we're like, okay, we'll shoot out a ray to the target, which again, this is where I feel my vision falls apart, because it only shoots out a single ray, and that ray is aimed at all the characters I've got sort of have this larger empty object around them, which if we switch over into the scene view, I might be able to, yeah, just so we can get this. Yeah, they have an empty object that's sort of layered at their feet, or I guess at the ground at coordinates 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, or whatever. Anyway, the Y position is 0, but apparently not right now, so yeah. Relatively speaking, though, it's at a position of 0, and it's a bit problematic because if we go back into the game here, see, with just another test here, this guy's got a vision cone on him, and if we stand right here, and we go on over to our regular capsule and we turn his vision cone on, you can see that he should be able to see us, but as long as we are behind this very low obstruction, it gets cut off. If we stand up here, then he can see us and everything is good again. But yeah, that's obviously kind of a weird thing. And of course, another place where that would become a problem is if we're crouched and we've only got this one ray. Yeah. I suppose you could argue maybe I could just set it so that the ray aims at some midpoint, but I figure the vision would be more robust in general if we fired out multiple, like, at least 3 rays that are aimed at various heights on this model here. And that's something we can do eventually. In fact, yeah, I made a little note of myself to it right here. As we can see, the current vision, it just shoots out that 1 ray to check, and a better version of that would be at least 3 rays. Maybe more, but at least 3, I think. And if one of those hits, then, we know we can see something. This awareness circle, this is something we'll discuss in a second, because as we can see, the enemy moving around over there, he's got a little red circle on him, and he kind of makes use of this whole awareness circle concept. Instant alert, though, that's kind of a terrible description of things. It's really just, I guess, if you're within really close range, there would be extra things you could do. Like maybe if the enemy's not aware of you, you can stealth kill him. If he's aware of you, maybe he'll try to punch you or something if you're within that range. Then the larger circle would be how far away he can hear. And hearing might even be something that I'd want to set to be even larger than the vision range. I don't know. These are all things we'd play around with in game balancing. Then, like I was talking about earlier, we might want to modify how vision works so that just how much of a peripheral range he's got, how much distance he can see, all depends on various weather modifiers. On a perfectly clear sunny day, the enemy could see you from a mile away. In a dark, foggy, rainy night, then the enemy might not be able to see you unless you're right up in front of his face. And that's kind of what we've got going on over here. Anyway, and I think we'll wrap things up just by quickly looking at our enemy again. I've made him ever so slightly better. We can also kind of see up there in the top right a little bit of a thing. Oh, geez, he is actually faster than me. But yeah, we can see a bit of a thing where I can keep track of what state the game's in. And right now, the awareness circle, that little red inner circle, just means if the enemy touches you, or I guess if you get in there, then it's an automatic game over. But I need to work on that a little because it also gets a game over even if you come up at him from behind and he doesn't know you're there. So that's something to do. But yeah, we've also got a very basic game over state. So the next order of business, I guess, would be if I can maybe not get caught this time. I just kind of want to show off that he does have 3 distinct states. He's got his patrol state, he's got his, he spots us, he chases us. If we run and hide over here, this is where things start falling apart just a little bit. I mean, yeah, he lost sight of us and he doesn't do anything right now. And then his caution state, he doesn't really do anything either. He just kind of sits here till the timer runs out. And yeah, then he just goes back to what he's doing. I've got some ideas on how this could work. We could do a little calculation to see based on where he last spotted us versus the position he saw us in just before that. And then we could do a little calculation so that the enemy can know what general direction we were moving in. And then we could set it so that if the enemy has lost sight of where we are, then they'll try to move in the direction that we were going in. In fact, I could make it that's how they pursue us. Instead of pursuing our actual, like, where we're at, he pursues where he thinks we're going to be in, I don't know, like a second or so from now, just so that he's got a bit of future planning and maybe can attempt to cut us off. Something to work on. And then beyond that, if the enemy still loses sight of us, we probably want some way for the enemy to, like, something similar to this path system here, where maybe we could have a bunch of points that the enemy will check. And maybe something even a little bit dynamic so that the enemy can generate points of interest to search based on their vision. Like, we could maybe set it so that if we have, I don't know, like a dumpster over here, the enemy would figure that's a point of interest and kind of patrol around and go looking for that. Because I want to have a system so that I don't necessarily need to tell the AI what to do when they lose sight of the player. But I could just put various waypoints around the level and then tell the AI, hey, if you know that the player is here, but you don't know exactly where he is, then go to the nearest waypoint and maybe, you know, do like a little spin around and see if you've spotted the player. And if not, move to the next waypoint that's closest to you and do the same thing. But then that would require me to actually place points of interest around the map. So maybe creating a way for the AI to figure that out on their own might be interesting. I don't know exactly how I'll do that yet, and I think for the sake of this particular prototype, we'll just do the idea of just manually placing down a bunch of waypoints to search the area. And yeah, just for now, and then we can maybe work on making a better and more robust system at a future point. But anyway, that's kind of where we're at. So at this point, I guess it's time to say goodbye. And next time, I figure I'll try to have created a rudimentary hearing system for our enemies so that they can actually maybe go search areas and we can bait them out of their patrol route for a little while. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Anyway, till the next time, as always, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to hit that like button or maybe leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking about what you saw here today. And I hope to see you all next week.